Hello there, my name is Julian Gilson and I'm here to talk to you about how the PSA process helped me out when I had to complete a business plan for my class. Let's begin by looking at how I got started and go from there. I was in a higher writing class where we were assigned a project to create a business plan and we only had a select few weeks to complete it, and right away we were put on a deadline. The first thing that I looked at was the organization of the business plan and decided where to go from there. This took quite a while, considering that the plan itself was 16 pages long. After getting an understanding for where to put things in the correct order, I then went on to the research portion of the PSA process, where pieces of the puzzle to put the business plan together started to fall into the correct places. The research portion was interesting since I didn't necessarily do things in chronological order in terms of how I planned things, but it was more about where would be the best places to find information that I needed. It took me a while to grab a hold of where I wanted to go and which websites were best suited for what I was looking for, and once I caught on, the research itself started to become secondhand nature and easier for me to find the best resources for my t-shirt company for which my business plan was based off on. The various websites and sources that I used for my research portion were widely diverse and looked at some kind of stepping stones for what my company would eventually become. The research that I had done for my paper was also very helpful in a way that it laid out the groundwork for what I needed to do in the future for my company. Usually, I'm a student that would bust out a final copy of any paper within hours and still get a good grade. But with the detailed task of completing a business plan within only 2 weeks, it took time and effort to get where I wanted to finish the final copy. This entailed for me to constantly be in contact with my class professor and many of my personal friends to edit and point me in the right direction with my paper. As important as the research portion, the part of getting the correct wording in order within my drafts was probably the hardest and most crucial part of this process that I had to go through. During this trial and error period, I went to my teacher at least 3 times for guidance before writing my final draft, where even then, I was unsure on what I had just wrote. After the final copy of my business plan was typed up and I had a clear head on my shoulders, I went over the assignment once more to make sure I had everything down. By doing this with a clear mind, I was able to pick up on weird quirks I made throughout the document and was able to make positive small adjustments that, if not picked up, would cost me points in the grading portion. Besides going over the document, I also allowed myself to have time to look over my document with friends and family and ask for their thoughts on my lengthy business plan. This helped me in a way to understand from other people's point of view where I had gotten off track within the document or where minor details I had skipped over before were now presented. Don't get me wrong, I'm definitely nervous in front of people when performing, but for some reason, when I know something like I've practiced it many times before, I play around with that piece of work like I know how to manipulate it in all kinds of ways to have it still make sense. When I'm in this mindset, I block out most of my senses and just focus on the matter at hand and show the best way that I know how to explain the subject. What especially helps me through my presentations is readiness. Before showing the class my expertise in the subject, I usually practice my speech about 3 or 4 times where I know I have it down perfectly and could answer any questions that my classmates have about my presentation. I suppose that you could say being prepared helps not only you, but also the idea and purpose of your project becoming understandable to others. Looking at everything we went over, just remember to organize your plan on what you want to do your research around your ultimate plan on what you want to incorporate within your paper, understand that it takes time to get your paper just right and create multiple drafts. Make sure to also review your paper with family and friends to kick out any small details left unnoticed. And finally, remember to distribute your paper after having multiple practice sessions under your belt so you know how to present the material in a comfortable manner.